In this session, we will learn the basics of Windows Forms controls, which are used to design the user interface of the application. Controls are user interface elements that accept or display data. We design the Windows Forms application user interface using these controls and set their properties and events as required. Since the form class is derived from container control class, it has a controls collection object which stores the object of the controls added to the form class. To use a control, we need to create an instance of a control class, set its properties, position the control on the form, and add the control object to the Windows Form control collection. System Windows Forms namespace contains a large family of controls which we can use to build the user interface. In the framework class library, every control has a class and is derived from the control class and acquires the basic functionality of the base class. A control class is similar to any other class. We can create an instance of it, set its properties, and use its methods. Windows Forms Designer available in Sharp Develop IDE contains all the controls available in the System Windows Forms namespace. Using the Forms Designer, we drag and drop the controls onto the form and position the controls as required. We can also add new controls to the Form Designer to use in our application. When we design forms with required controls, we also need to modify basic properties of the controls to get the required functionality. The Properties editor in IDE exposes all the properties of the control selected for us to modify. When we modify the properties, the modified values of the property is added to the code file in the control initialization section, so that when we run the application, the modified properties are applied to the control. If we do not modify any property, then the control gets initialized with its default property values. A control's position is defined by the distance between its top left corner and the top left corner of its container. Similarly, the size of the control is measured as the width and height of the control from its top left corner. All coordinates and dimensions are integer values that are measured in pixels. All controls provide location and size property which we can modify while designing the user interface. Position of the control is set by using location property with point structure, and the size of the control is set by using size property with size structure. Both these structures are part of system drawing namespace. Now controls are divided into three categories. Basic controls, which form the building blocks of the interface. These controls are used to display and accept data to the user. Without these controls, application user interface is incomplete. Advanced controls are used in applications to display complex data and improve visual appearance of the interface. They provide a unique set of flexible features and condense a lot of information in one place. For example, the menu step control can contain command buttons for numerous operations, which are only visible when the user clicks the top level menu to display the menu. Container controls are designed for grouping other controls to manage the layout of the controls. Now here we have a list of basic controls with their important properties which we need to set at design time or runtime to display or accept data to the user. These controls interact with the user via events, which are listed in the events column. We will study about events and its handlers in the upcoming session. Now we will explore how to add controls to the forms and modify the properties of the controls in Windows Forms Designer. Now I will explore how to add controls to the forms and modify the properties of the controls in Windows Forms Designer. Now in the Form Designer, to add a control to the form, we drag and drop the control from the toolbox onto the form. Suppose we place multiple controls on the form, then we select all controls and align the controls using align commands. We can size the controls by matching width and height. We can adjust the spacings between controls with horizontal and vertical spacing commands. When we select a control, the Properties window displays the properties of that control, which we can modify as per our needs. We have to set basic properties of the control like name, its text, and other properties as per the selected control.